What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a little bit of news about Solasta, Crown of the Magister. So if you're unaware, big fan of the game on this particular channel. I've reviewed it and done updates on all of its DLC. And today I've got two things I want to talk about. First up, if you're unaware, Solasta did launch on Xbox earlier this month, at the beginning of the month actually, through the Microsoft Store as well as Game Pass. And this does come with some cross-save functionality, which is pretty nice. So as far as console releases go, very wide open. You can play it on PC and then immediately go play it on your console. You can play with other players on one platform or the other, and it's about as variable as it gets. So I wanted to lead with that, as I think that's a great addition for a game like this. And then next up, I wanted to talk about an upcoming DLC that Solasta is going to be getting that they have already confirmed a little bit about, and that is that we will be getting the last three classes that have been missing from the player's handbook for 5e, basically, which is Warlock, Bard, and Monk. This will of course mean that in Solasta you can play every class available to you in the player's handbook for 5e D&D, which I'm very excited about because, as I mentioned in my review of their last campaign DLC actually, that I was hoping that they would add Warlock in. The people who are dedicated watchers of the channel, they might be aware that the Warlock is my favorite class from that system, so I'm excited to see it implemented. Now, some important things to note about this. For starters, they held a community subclass design event, which means one of these subclasses, there's usually 3 per class, for each one of these classes will have been designed by someone in the community. And that's important to know because if you're unaware, Solasta is a sort of mix of homebrew and the 5th edition SRD rule set, which means a lot of the game is done around the parts of D&D that people are allowed to freely adapt, and it's the rule set that allows people to homebrew content, basically. So like the rest of Solasta, these classes will be sort of homebrew adaptations, but they've done a very good job with that through all of the other classes so far, so I'm pretty confident that these will be fun as well. I'm especially interested to see how they wind up adapting Bard in this way, but I also imagine a lot of people will be very excited for Monk, as that's not a class that gets a ton of representation in games like this, but overall very cool. We don't have an exact date for the DLC yet by any means. They just announced that they are working on it. However, judging by their previous release of similar DLC, the DLC that got us the Barbarian and the Druid class, for instance, from the time they held the event for the community for that one, which was the same thing, where they had the community design a subclass for those classes, to the point of the DLC actually being released was a handful of months, like 2 or 3 months. So while that is just a bit of guesswork, as again, we do not know the actual date yet, and these things do change, I would say we're likely to see this before the end of the year at the latest. But there you guys go, just kind of a short video talking about some Solasta Crown of the Magister updates, because I haven't talked about the game in a little while, and they've been doing some cool things behind the scenes with, again, Game Pass, their Xbox release, as well as continuing to flesh their game out via DLC. So before we wrap this up, I wanted to leave you guys with what I think it would be cool to see Tactical Adventures do from here. So we're already getting the class DLC, of course, but I think what would be nice is to see them do one more campaign for Solasta, and then after that with the next class DLC and say like another campaign, which isn't confirmed. That part's just me wishful thinking it. But if they were to then do both of those things, at that point, I think I would personally want to see them kind of just move on and see what else they can do, because Solasta has been such a fun experience for me that I've been very curious to see what else Tactical Adventures can get up to, as I imagine they're probably working on more than just DLC in some capacity. But that's all I've got for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.